I'm in the game. I'm in the game. Hello, I'm in the video with my daddy.
All right, everybody. So this week we have model cars from YouTube on. We're gonna get to meet Daniel for a little bit and see what kind of makes him tick a little bit. And here we go.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Hello. Is there any way of seeing how many people are on?
I can. I don't think you can though.
Okay.
Right now, 3's watching. If that means anything.
All right. Well, good.
So go ahead and plug your channel and Facebook, whatever you need to.
I don't do Facebook, so
Oh,
pretty much this is it. Just the model cars. So that's it. That's it on YouTube. So yeah.
And I might be wrong here, but you haven't been on YouTube very long, right?
No, October I believe was when I first posted. Let's see. Matthew at Model Car Videos, he had posted something, a video, and I think a lot of people took it wrong. And I think he was kind of talking about how his builds had progressed to the point where he spent a lot more time on it and things, and some people kind of took it as like he was going to step away from it or whatever, and so it just kind of got me to thinking about the whole why you build and stuff, and Don's garage, he did the why we build thing, and so I'd been thinking about it for forever. Once I started watching guys post their video stuff, I'd been thinking about it, and I just thought it was a good opportunity to post a video on my philosophy behind building models. And so one of those kind of you never know till you do it, just jump in. And that's the advice everybody gives you off YouTube. The people that want to start a channel or whatever, they say, don't worry about getting your equipment or doing all that stuff. Just put a video and upload it online. And so that's kind of what I did. Just started.
And how are you liking the process so far? Pretty cool? Or are you?
I was really enjoying it, but I ran into a snag with weather and not having anywhere to paint. So, I'm in Iowa. It's been cold and miserable, and I don't have a paint booth or anything. I do outside painting as of right now, and so I just haven't been able to. But before winter came, I was starting to get stuff done, and so I'm looking for the warm weather, and then I'm going to try hitting it as hard as I can.
Right, like we all try to, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I have a wood stove for my garage, but like I said, at the time we were pretty new in the house, and so our garage is still kind of a storage area, and so but hopefully by next year I'll have a nice little area in there cleaned out, and maybe even put in a paint booth next to the wood stove, so I don't have to have these 3 or 4 months where I can't get any paint on anything.
Oh, that'd be cool, and then your paint, and then it'll be warm right there next to the paintbrush, paint booth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or like Rob from what is that? Papa's Model Room. He did, I don't know, like 5 or 6 bodies, got them all ready before winter hits. And so, that's an idea too. You can just work on your bodies, get them prep, but
Right.
there's you still run into issues doing it that way too.
So being in Iowa, what's the modeling scene like there?
It sucks.
Okay.
I don't know about the whole state, but where I'm at, in Southeast Iowa, it's terrible. I mean, and a lot of it might just be the fact that I don't know anybody, which I'm planning on fixing that here real soon. A friend of mine actually sent me a text this morning. They have we have several car shows in our town every summer or whatever. Yeah, so May 20th in our town, the car show is going to add a model car show this year, and so it'll be their first time. So hopefully it'll go good.
That's awesome.
I'm hoping to meet some guys at least, if nothing else, come out of that.
Right.
Yeah, and I think they're doing it right because it's free to enter. I think that'll help. So I plan on bringing 3 or 4 builds, even though I haven't built contest, winners or whatever. That's not what I've been building for. But just so I can get in there and mingle and kind of make those connections.
Yeah, right. And it's you can kind of see, like, I always like taking like 1-to-1 scale cars and then see if I can make the model kind of look like that.
Yeah, right? I haven't done that yet. I have a couple that I got planned that are that way. I have my wife's, let's see if I can get this right. It'd be her mom's cousin. So I don't know what the heck that makes them. But he has a 70s Corvette. And we went and stayed with him a couple of years ago up in Wisconsin. And I took about every picture of that car I could because I can't remember what year it is, but I actually have a model of it. And so I figured I'd recreate his car.
Oh, that'd be sweet. Right.
And of course, want to do my high school car. My first car, I'd love to do it, which is 72 Nova, except for I'll probably use the 69 Revell Nova because that 72 Old Pro kit has got just too many issues. But there's not much difference between those cars.
So. Right. Back then, it'd be what, like the tail lights, a different orientation of.
Oh, I couldn't tell. I know for one, the 69, I actually have the box here. The street burner one. So this one. Oh, it's not going to show it, is it? Okay. So, yeah, the green screen's playing crazy with it. But it has some vents on the side.
Yeah.
And
that's a good kit, too. I've heard good things about those.
I'm working on it. That's my under 1,000 build. But it's got side vents behind the front fender, which I'm not a big fan of. And then I'll take that off. Maybe that'll help. Let's see. I got. It's just right behind the laptop. So.
Oh, wow.
It's backwards, so I got to do it. You can't see because of glare.
Yeah.
But I removed them off of here. And
okay.
To me, that's the biggest difference between that kit and the 72. And so with those gone, then that's that makes it more my car.
Right. No, that'd be cool. I mean, that's cool how you can just do a little thing and it'll be perfect for what you want, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking. I'm not sure yet, but I'm thinking about sourcing out having somebody build my high school car because they had a custom paint job on it. It had 3 silver scallops running down the rear quarter panels on it, separated with a red pinstripe, and it was a blue car. And so if I can find an actual photo of it where I could give it to somebody, I'm thinking about having somebody build one for me just so I have one that looks really nice.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's one of those things, you know. I was that kid that was never going to sell my car. Always. I mean, I told people that. I was like, there's no way I'll sell it. But when I went to the service, I was already married and had a kid. And, you know, we lived in an area that was expensive to live and had bills going in, you know, because I was 20 or 21 when I went in. I can't remember if I turned 21 or if I already was. But so, you know, I wasn't an 18-year-old kid. I already had a family. And it was just so expensive. And the Army didn't pay that good. And we couldn't get base housing because it was a 3-year wait list, which was the length of, you know, what I had signed up for. And so we had to live in town, and it was expensive to live in there. And so, you know, we were scraping to get by. Well, the family car broke down and, you know, needed to come up with money fast. The only thing I had of value was my Nova. So, you know, I had to do what I had to do.
I think everybody has a similar story to that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You're thinking when you're young, you're like, why'd you sell that car? And they probably all felt the same way I did.
Right.
Everybody probably had a situation where, you know, you needed that, you know, money, and that's all you could really sell.
Right. So I'm channel name Model Cars. So is there anything else you like to build? And what's your favorite type of model car that you like to build?
As far as hobbies go, I mean, or as far as this hobby goes, cars and trucks, pretty much it. And trucks I wasn't too much into until like a few months ago. And then I don't know, they've just been calling to me more and more. So I've picked up quite a few truck kits, and I've been picking up kits that have extra stuff in them. So like the ones that come with a trailer, or, you know, the one that comes with a go-kart, the one that comes with a mini bike. I don't know why, but all that stuff, I'm like, ooh, it's like a free kit within a kit.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. But pretty much cars is my thing. In the past, I've always built cars, except I believe my first ever glue kit was an airplane. And it was the Black Widow plane. That was the nickname of it. You military guys will probably know what I'm talking about. It's the one that has the I'm terrible with planes.
Right.
You know, you got your main fuselage, I think it is, where the cockpit is.
Right.
And then it's got the wings, and then it's got like 2 other fuselages, although I don't know if that's what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. Then, I know which one you're talking about, but I don't know what plane it is either.
From World War II. And I think that was my first glue together, and it was a total glue bomb. I mean, it was exactly what people think when you think of glue bomb. And I think I painted it black as well, because I remember it just being real greasy. Like, you know what I mean? The paint was all runny and stuff, and the glue was everywhere. Because that was when all you had was the Tester's tube glue. And I don't know how you use that stuff, because it's kind of funny. You'd get some and it would be all right. And then you get the others, and every time you'd use it, you'd have strings, and then you'd get hairs everywhere. And, you know, you're a kid, you're building it all in like 1 hour. And so, you know, everything was just spider web, total glue bomb. But, you know, I had fun. Yeah, P-38, I believe that is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, that plane, though, I think it originally was black.
Yeah.
That's why it got named the Black Widow.
Yeah. And I think I painted it black as well, too, though. Just
right.
Because, like I said, in my mind, it was all just greasy looking, just a mess, just a nightmare. But, I mean, I liked it, you know, as a kid, especially that was the first one I built. So, but yeah, my first model was actually snap kits. My first, I couldn't even tell you how many.
Oh, see, Fred Henry would like to hear that.
I'm sure he would. But, I mean, you know, I don't know how young I was, but like kindergarten maybe. So about 5 years old was the first time, and I couldn't for the life of you tell you what kid it was. But and this is what I think is great about it. I can remember everything about the house I was at and the table I was at and sitting there with my dad building it. I just don't remember what we built, but I remember him sitting there with me and walking through the steps with it. And I think that was the only one. After that, I was to the races. But yeah, that's so I think that's great as a father or even as just a man to pass that down to a different generation.
Yeah, but I mean, this hobby's getting so expensive now. It's kind of hard to see where the next generation's going to go with it, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I've been hearing people say it for years, and I didn't think it was that bad until just like a few months back when everything in life is just the price went up, and then you're there at Hobby Lobby and they're 40% off, and it's it's still like $20 for a kid or whatever or more, and it's like I guess it's getting there. But you asked me about Iowa as well. Another bad thing about here is we have no hobby shop. I have Hobby Lobby, and that is it. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I honestly have like almost everything they have there. There's a couple of kits I don't have just because I'm not interested in them. But as far as the car section goes, I could really restock their shelves for them if they ever needed me, just for my kids.
Right.
But yeah, my nearest hobby shopby is in Des Moines, which is a good 2-hour drive from me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I mean, I Hobby Lobby's cool, but they're getting good kits.
Yeah,
I will say that.
It kind of got stagnant, but in the last few months they started circulating some Revell kits, some of the newer kits, and so that's helped.
And some of the round 2 stuff is kind of trickling in a little bit, and not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot.
But there.
Yeah,
but they need to do something about the modeling tools. Like they're all they're slowly getting rid of all the Tamiya stuff. It's crazy.
They're what is it? Because my files is whatever that brand is, Hobby 10 or just Hobby Tools, I guess they call it. They're getting more and more of that stuff. So they're, like you said, kind of replacing some of your bigger name things. But to me, it looks like the tool section has gotten a little better here recently. I don't know why, but at least at mine, they've started adding a lot more variety. Well, it's all the same company, but they're adding in some more tools. So
yeah, well,
I miss that's the stuff about the hobby shops I miss is especially we used to actually have one here in the town I live in, and but they went out of business like around 2000. Well, they retired. Nobody wanted to take it over, and so they just closed the shop. But they were the ones that had your Boy Scout stuff, and your pine box stuff. But I mean, they carried everything for the Boy Scouts because he was a big scout leader. So you get your shirts there and patches, everything. But then they had he had train stuff, had RC stuff, planes, boats, all that stuff. But then they also had the Pegasus wheels and your flocking and your styrene strips and just a lot of the aftermarket stuff, which wasn't a lot back then. But that's what I miss about not having a hobby shop now is I have to go online if I want to get anything really.
Yeah, I mean it's and that's the reason there's no more real hobby shops. I mean, the only reason I have one 20 minutes away is because of the Train Hobby. That's their biggest selling thing, and it's huge up here.
Yeah, I don't know about the one in Des Moines, if it's trains or RC or a little bit of both, but the model stuff is by far the smallest section they have. It's a big building, and they got like 2 little aisles That's like all the hobby stuff
Yeah.
or all the model stuff. But like the other whole sides of both walls is, one's all trains and the other one's all RC stuff. But they actually have an RC racetrack outside their building too. So
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think that's good for a hobby shop to have if they can, because then you're selling people stuff and giving them a place to do it.
Right. So what are some of your favorite hobby tools?
Yeah, we talked about that before. This file is become just a staple in my model building, and you already heard all this, but not everybody else did. So, but I'm going to go over it again. So when you put your engine block halves together, those seams, your intake don't want to lay flat. It wants to kind of wobble, and sometimes your oil pan. So I initially started using this flat file for that, just to get those seams, out of the way, and then to level it so your parts fit on there right. But since then, I've been using it for removing script off bodies. Not so much mold lines, but like on that Nova, taking those side vents off, I actually used this, which probably some people would cringe, but I've gotten really good with it. And and just I've been using it like crazy. I love this file. And taking parts off the sprue. A lot of times I'll use this to clean the sprue up, because you can make it nice and level, and it's long enough that if you're doing a part that's got some length to it, then you can really square it up and kind of plane the whole thing. So I kind of use it like a wood plane. You
Right.
make everything level and flat, and so love this thing. It's my favorite. It's so much now that I don't even put it back in the package anymore. I just leave it out next to my X-Acto knife. I used to put away. I'm kind of OCD about a lot of that stuff. I'd always put things back when I'm done with it. But I'm like, you know what? I use it every day. It's just going to stay out.
What are some of the other tools that you like to use? Probably what?
Oh, I got a brand new one, and this is not new to any of you guys. See this about putting stuff away? This is what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I showed you this. My wife got me a kit from China, right, for Christmas, and it just tons of hobby stuff. And I never had anything other than just sheets of sandpaper, and it had these boards in here, and it's the foam, and it's got 3 different grits on it. This is really nice. I used that on cleaning up that Nova body after I took stuff off. And it had a really wicked seam line on the back trunk that I actually didn't even notice at first. It almost was like a spoiler. It was so bad. And man, this thing is awesome, because it, contours and stuff, and it's got some, it compresses, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Well, and it's not rigid; it conforms to that shape, right?
Yeah, and it, you don't have to worry so much about burning through something that you don't want to as well.
Right.
And man, that's really nice. But the other bad thing about it too is I have no idea what the grits are on them. I just know it's smooth, really smooth, and super smooth. So that's it. And they gave me a couple little rectangular ones too, and it's the same way. They have no grit number or anything on there, and so that's it. His favorite is the painting, or hers. I'm sorry, Sarah. I read the comment and then read the name. Let's see. I think it's the dreaming. My favorite part about building models, I think, is the dreaming, right? I think for about all of us, at least for half of your stash, you probably have a plan in your head, right? Of what you want to do with it. Unless you're one of those box stock people. I guess maybe they don't dream about it much, but
this is coming from the guy that don't read very well, but this is how I read that. It's what's your least favorite part of the modeling?
You said you don't read. I can't read at all, evidently. Oh, geez. decals. I hate decals. I really do. And I think the final assembly as well. And probably for a lot of the same reasons. Um, I feel like you get this great build going, something that you're really proud of, but it's not done. But as you're looking at it in its all of its little individual glory, you're like, you know, this is where I want it to be. But then when you start putting everything together, that's where the issues come. That's where you have problems or whatever. And I think up until that point, you still feel like it's going to be a great build, but you're really nervous in that last couple inches. That's when you're going to do something that's going to mess it up. Your decals are going to fall apart, or you're going to leave a big glue print right in the middle of the windshield, or heaven forbid you drop it on the floor and it goes in 8 million pieces. So to me, it's the finishing it part is the most nerve wracking. Yeah, Dan from 60 Rules, he's got that right. Nerve wracking is the right term for that.
I think for me it's decals from starting the decals to the end, because like it's
So many things could go wrong.
So many things can go wrong. And then like you start getting it right and it's going smooth, and then you put that first layer of clear coat on it, not very thick, and the whole underneath of it just crackles. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, that would I mean that's just heartbreaking, really. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can fix. If it kind of kills me some. I understand when people get upset about having a run in their paint, or some other kind of defect, and you're like, just sand it, man. I see a lot of times people get a little bit of a paint defect and they're like, oh, I don't want to have to strip it all down. Don't strip it all down. You can do so much with sandpaper to fix paint. I mean, you take it to a body shop, they don't strip a car down. You work on the default in the paint. Now there's obviously sometimes you get a chemical reaction or something, or something that doesn't jive, or your body's not properly prepared to where nothing sticks to it.
Right.
Yeah, then you got to start all over. But as far as your dust, or a run or any of that stuff, a lot of that can be fixed, and you figure that out just by doing it.
Oh yeah, seam work. Yeah, seam work sure fills the swear jar. I hate painting shiny, anything shiny. Right. Yeah. I doing like a helicopter, and like the front part of it like glues together perfect, and then the tail section you just want to throw it against the wall.
I'll take your word for it. We actually got our first helicopter this week. My youngest boy, who's been working on a plane, that's his first by himself model. Although I've helped him, but I mean it's his first by himself model. He got a gift card for Hobby Lobby for helping some lady out, and so he wanted to go, and he picked up a helicopter this week. So he's pretty excited about that. But yeah, I'll probably put a little video of him showing that up there.
Nice.
But yeah, it's not my military stuff's not my thing. Boats, planes, just I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's totally cool to be, that's not my personality for sure, because I like to do everything. But
I like to watch people that do everything.
Right.
Because I mentioned it to Ryan at RPM Games. If you guys haven't checked out his stuff, does some pretty awesome stuff. He's a hell of a nice guy. But he did a little bit of a weathering video. I watched it last night, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if it was posted then or not. But I told him, I said, thanks for sharing, because that's the stuff I add to that mental toolbox
Right.
of things that you do. And so that's why I like to watch people that do build military stuff or figures, is because you're going to learn techniques and you're going to learn stuff, and sometimes you can find just tools and stuff that they use that maybe you might not be aware of. So
Yeah, like and it's kind of crazy how like certain sections have different types of tools.
yeah,
You know,
and I get a kick out of watching military build because they build, it seems so backwards. Because a lot of times those guys will, like, if they build a tank, they'll build the whole tank and then paint it. And as a car builder, you're like, yeah, you can't do that. But especially when they're doing all the weathering stuff, people that do weathering, they don't have to. It's a different process, and so it's kind of cool to watch them do that. But yeah, that's one reason why I like military guys, because man, them dudes weather like it's nobody's business.
yeah,
And it's the techniques and stuff they have are just it's crazy.
yeah. I want to take like Warhammer figure. They've got there's a new file out of like I can build one as big as I want, and I want to take like some of the pastel stuff we've been using on one of the painting tutorials I've been doing with the group of guys. I want to take a bunch of that stuff and like weather it all up and do some oils, and so I totally get that. It's gonna be. I cannot wait. Now I just have to have money.
Well, at least you're excited about it. I did my first weathering for the Halloween group build. It was the first time I weathered anything, and gosh, I was just so happy with how that came out. And it was fun to build because I knew nothing mattered. Because I had in my mind, I did a van, basically a creeper van, and I was like, man, it don't matter if you get runs in the paint, it don't matter if you scratch up the glass, nothing matters because it's beat up junk. And so, if anything, I pick it up, throw it across the floor, they put it back together, and it'd just be better. So it was kind of relaxing and fun to do. I know why a lot of those guys like to build just beaters now, but
so it truly was a creeper van.
yeah, it's less stressful, that's for sure. But I was just happy with how it turned out too, and it was fun. It was something I'd never done before.
Do you use oils, or are you using just acrylic paint, or
I've pretty much just been enamels my whole life, because when I was growing up, that's really all there was the old testers. What was it, like the 8-pack, 10-pack, or whatever? That was all the paints that you had. But I recently started getting some acrylic stuff for like interiors and things. Yeah, so like just the Walmart stuff or the stuff from Hobby Lobby. And so that stuff's really good for like weathering and stuff, with putting on afterwards, dirtying things out. But I think the dullness of the acrylics kind of makes for a more realistic interior, I think. Because sometimes you get things. I mean, there's ways around it. You can do flats and matte finish on top of things and stuff, but a lot of times everything looks too vinyl-y on the interior if you're using just straight enamels.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. The only thing I hate about using acrylics on the for weathering is you can't go back and like add water or add a wash to it on top of it.
Yeah,
because you're just taking the rest of that away, and it's it's the one.
Yeah.
One little thing that makes it kind of irritating.
Yeah, I can see that. I've seen people actually use that to their advantage too. I've seen it where they'll do acrylics and stuff and then spritz it and get kind of a running, streaking effect or whatever. And I've seen it work really cool that way.
Yeah.
He's got his buddy bear there with him. So while he's talking, I'll show this. This is a nasty little build of mine. This is an old 442. It's chopped.
Oh, what is that? That's a CUDA, right?
No, it's an old 442 with a chop.
Oh, okay.
And this was one of the last things I was working on when I initially got out of the hobby. And let's see how much I can take this apart. Something fell off. But it's got flocking on it. This is a lot of firsts. It's the first time I ever tried any body modification. It's got flocking on the dash and the seats. And then also has the wiring. First time I ever did wiring on a kit. That's what fell on my wheel. And it's got aftermarket spinners on the. I mean, I did a lot of aftermarket stuff on that. And that was when it still had the hobby. But the thing that made me put it aside was, it was, okay, we had internet then, but, everybody had dial-up. And so it was slow. And, you didn't really, I wasn't big into it. I didn't understand it a lot. So, nowadays you could just look stuff up and find all your solutions. But at that time, I had no idea what to do with my windshield that no longer fit.
Right.
And so that really stalled me out. I was just like, I can't put the glass in this thing. The back window was fine because I didn't cut the whole rear seam. I just, kind of took an angle out of it and then just kind of bent it down. And so the back glass is actually the same. It'll fit. But I couldn't do anything about the windshield because, I had to move the pillars and everything. I actually had to make my own pillars. And so then the whole shape of it was bad. And so, I couldn't ever come up with a solution to it. And then finally one time, I found, I thought I had the window in here, but maybe I just got the wing. I found this clear styrene, which is super thin. And so I figured, well, I could cut that to shape and then just, glue it in there. And that ought to do it. So maybe one of these years I'll put that back together. I actually contemplated about doing it as a giveaway. Just being like, hey, if anybody wants to finish this thing up, I'll put it and ship it off to you. And let you have at it.
No, I mean it's kind of cool how just when you try to modify something and it can go either way right or way wrong, right?
Yeah,
and you got to figure out how to fix it.
That was something I told myself I wasn't going to do once I got back in the hobby. Because I started doing more and more every time I built a kit. And I was like, oh, I'm just creating so many problems for myself, trying to make things fit together. And it's like, why can't I just build it the way it is on the box? But here I am. I'm shaving molding lines off, and I'm swapping engines out. And I'm building my own V12 out of 2 straight 6s. So I'm back at it again. It's just, it's going to be the way it's going to be. So
you're gonna make a V12 with 2 6s.
Yeah, well, an inline 12 it'd be, but yeah. Yep.
I have so many questions that we don't have time for. I'm just saying.
It's actually not all that uncommon for people to do
Right.
crazy things like that. I know I've seen like where they fused two rotary engines together to make some, you know, monstrosity of an engine. Um,
Yeah, no, it like the pot
I
and
think,
like and 3D printing, like that kind of stuff is even more possible because of the 3D
oh yeah,
print,
it'd be way easier. You know,
you know?
if you're somebody that can build those files, then it's just a matter of moving the lines and putting them where you want them to be. You know, or if you're actually physically doing it, then you got to come up with ways of expanding or
Right.
creating things to I mean it's not as easy, but at the same time, sometimes I think it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Some
I have no interest in getting into 3D modeling. I think it would be a Pandora's box for me. I think it'd be one of those things that then that's all I would do is I would just sit there and make stuff up all day long and never build anything. I just have all these parts.
I understand because I have this robot right here, that Predator. No, that's Cyturian. Cyborg's over there with Wonder Woman. So I understand. You can print out anything.
And I hate technology. Yeah, it's one of those things that's great when it works, but it sucks when it doesn't. Nothing I hate worse than you get something and you plug it in and then you can't use it because like with a computer or whatever. Oh well, you got to download a driver. Oh, okay, so then you have to go find drivers to make your program you just bought work. And it's like I want things that when I buy it and bring it home, I can immediately start using it. I don't want to have to spend 3 or 4 weeks working bugs out trying to, what I mean. And so you got 3D printing, then you got to get your printer to work with your computer. And I mean, it's not stuff I want to get into.
And you know what? It's completely okay because there's other people that'll like do that part of it, and all you
Yeah,
gotta do is find the part.
yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem using 3D printing stuff. I'll do that all day, but I don't want to be the guy doing it.
Right. Yeah. See, Sarah Jane's right there with you on that one.
Yeah.
Technology is not her friend.
No.
Right.
No.
And
Actually, I was in a computer gaming for a while, and that was the problem I ran into was that I would buy a game and I couldn't play it when I get home. Like, well, it says my computer meets all the specs, but then you'd find out it's a buggy, broken game, or you'd find out you needed to download stuff to make it work. And I was like, or I could get an Xbox and just go buy a game and put it in my Xbox, and I know it'll play. And
right.
so,
Right. There is that option.
yeah. Oh, speaking of Xbox and place, that's something I thought about talking about before. I mean, I know a lot of older guys might not be into it, but like the Xbox One's been around long enough now that you can get them pretty cheap. And that is a potential for a really good resource for building your models. Because don't know if you've ever had or been familiar with it, but they got Forza Motorsports, and their games have hundreds of cars, and European manufacturers, American, Japanese, and all that, and they have a paint program on there that you can custom paint, and I mean it's like a paint shop on your computer. So I mean, as good as you can get on that, but it's really nice to see colors and color combinations on the actual car that you want to build. So like it has a 57 Chevy on there. So if you're building one and you're like, well, I'm really thinking about doing, a gold top with,
Right.
a copper bottom or something like that. And it's got, different variety of wheels and stuff too. You might be able to find them. And you can actually do the sizing too. And there's a lot of, you can actually, it's like a little 3D model of what you're wanting to build. And if you're older, you ain't into it, but you got a grandson or something that has one, maybe hook you up. But you can also look them up online too. You can just look up like Forza livery for whatever car you're looking at, and there's probably thousands of them where people have done custom paint jobs on it, and you can just be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, the other game that I would suggest, only because there's the NASCAR build right now, is one of the NASCAR games. Yeah, they got the paint shop and everything in there too. It's pretty cool how realistic that stuff looks now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the cool thing about Forza is there's a lot of guys with those old muscle cars that have put historic NASCAR liveries on those cars. So, you could kind of, and sometimes they'll do like modern one, like a Jeff Gordon on like a 70s Chevelle or not Chevelle, but a Challenger or something like that. And so you can see what, kind of a modern, I think that'd be cool doing in a model kit anyways, and just do like modern liveries on older model NASCAR kits, or the opposite, take a classic, like, Richard Petty, from 1970, and then put that on one of the brand new NASCAR kits from J.R. Salvino's, and, just update it. If he had drove that car today, what it would look like.
Right. Yeah, no, it's so cool, all that stuff, for sure. I like the fact that you can get like really detailed pictures too, because some of that stuff you can print out. I don't know how, but you can print that stuff out. My son knows how to do all that now, and I let him do the part.
Yeah. I got a thing I was wanted to do, and I was actually tempted to do it before then. I was actually tempted to do it with the NASCAR build. Actually, was I always wanted to take a NASCAR that's actually been ran NASCAR and turn it into a street car. So kind of the opposite. Instead of taking a street car and turn it to a race car, taking a race car, turn it back into a street car. Just because I thought it would be kind of cool to do. And there's a few YouTube videos, where people have actually found old NASCARs and have turned them into, street legal cars. And I just think it's the coolest thing. But haven't done it yet, but I probably will.
One of those things you'll have to cut the net out the window. Right?
Yeah. Well, some kits will be easier than others because some of them actually have, like the 69 Torino kit, that actually has parts to make it a stock or like a drag car or a NASCAR. And so, something like that would be, really, you're just changing the paint on it would really be all you'd be doing. But, I think it'd be fun to take one that's an actual NASCAR kit to where, putting different headlights or something in there, instead of like just the stock headlights, but, instead take, if you're doing like a 70 Torino or something and, put, Nova headlights in it, or, taillights out of the Bel Air or something, just to kind of, kind of like how you would do it. You take the parts that you have on hand and do it. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Right. No, that does sound like a cool idea. It does really sound like a cool idea. I could, or take something completely the other way and make it like a Mad Max type car.
Oh yeah, I always wanted to do the apocalypse thing. Yeah.
Right.
Now that I've actually done a weathering vehicle, maybe one of these days I'll do that.
Right.
I think 3D printing definitely helps with that stuff. I've seen some really cool 3D printed stuff. Well, I actually saw somebody did the war rig from the last Mad Max movie, Fury Road. Somebody completely 3D printed the entire semi, and man, that was a beautiful build.
Yeah, the file for that is on, I think it's on Game gamebody.com, I think. I saw that. I've seen that on there. I think that's where it's at. But it's the semi all the way back to like the trailer.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It seems like the last 2 years, like the model car side of it has gotten so much better for Prince.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people were locked in their houses with nothing to do. So, that's why I think that last 2 years has really helped.
I like that first year, it put everybody back into doing some kind of hobby. And then out of that, it just seems like I don't know, the 3D printed side of it, it's leaps and bounds every year. It just surprises the crap out of me.
Yeah, I think
I saw it coming, and then it went here.
I think it's going to be really beneficial to the hobby for sure. And I mean, you're starting to see, more and more of actual 3D. The whole build is 3D stuff. I mean, you guys see it. The guys that do figurines and stuff obviously see it way more. But I mean, on the automotive side, we're starting to see, cars that are completely 3D modeled, and so. They just had, some of them guys just did that. What was it? That little 3-wheeled motorcycle thing from Iceman's collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember what that thing's called.
I saw that. That
got the little motorcycle engine sideways in between the two front tires and the little one. And
right.
I think would be fun as heck to drive something like that. But
as long as you can hold on, I guess it all works.
I'd love to ride one of those old race cars. The old Indy type cars or whatever, the ones that just kind of look like almost a canoe upside down. They all have the big old inline 10s and 12s, and that one pipe that runs right by your elbow, and the wheels are right there. And I just think it'd be fun as heck to drive one of those things. Just the sounds and the feel and everything.
Yeah, and the like Indy car, just the progression just in the modeling side on that, because they have they have the original rocket cars, then the first generation of Indy, now they have the Formula One, and now I think they're called what, Formula Pro Gen, I think, or what they're called now. I can't remember what the new ones are called.
Well, they even got that E-League now too, the electronic one. There are the electric ones too. So, which goes against my heart, because I grew up around racing, and it's all about the sounds and the smells and all that, And a lot of those they add artificial sound in for the fans, but I mean, if you have to add sound in, it's just not the same. I mean,
well, and I don't know, it's kind of a side topic, but that's how they're getting the younger kids interested in racing still, because that's kind of, they see that as the next generation. Well, that's where all the real electric stuff's at, is the junior leagues right now. And then once those guys move up, that's going to just move up with them.
I'll tell you, I watched racing last night. It was the best race I'd ever seen. I swear. It was a rallycross race. And I don't remember if it was like that Nitro Rally or whatever. It just came in my feed because I've watched a couple of things of it lately. They got some really unique vehicles that they run in those, different classes or whatever. And they're just real short, like usually 5-lap races on these, almost like a motocross track or whatever. But they did Volkswagen Bugs, which I'm one of those people that's not a huge Volkswagen fan, but gosh, it was so cool seeing them things. They're, of course, all stripped down, but they all had the, whatever it is, 60, 70 horsepower engines or whatever. But they're out there jumping them things and getting up on 2 wheels, going through the dirt corners because it was a dirt track, and oh my gosh, I laughed watching that race, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, because those bugs, they're super, super light.
Yeah,
And
and
that's why I'm using them.
I never liked them because, well, they're kind of goofy looking, a little girly for me, and it was just I grew up racing and around muscle cars and all that, and they were just wimpy, you know. But I always did like them as buggies when people would take and make buggies out of them. But then I've seen people drag race them and stuff, and not even do like a crazy V8 swap or anything like that, but just an actual Volkswagen engine that's all beefed up, and them things are lifting the front wheels in the air and stuff, and they're so light that they're fast, and so I mean it's just finding that cool aspect about things, you know, and that's what I like about the hobby is you get your um, you find something and make it cool, make it fit the way your personality is, you know. And that's why I don't build stuff box stock very often. Um, if anything, I at least change the wheels because a lot of them, that's people watch my channel. They know I bitch and complain about the wheels that come with model car kits all the. If it was me and I ran round two, every kit would have a hood scoop and a hood option. Every kit, two hoods. One of them, I don't care if it's a cow or if it's a big scoop on it or a hole in the middle or something. Give me an option. And then there would always be, your a set of Steelies in every one. And then whatever the popular wheel was that vehicle came with. And then some kind of aftermarket wheel as well. Kragers or, Torque Trust or, whatever. And a set of fat back tires. Every auto kit, it don't matter if it was a van or a truck or as long as it's auto, I'd have to have that option in every one of them.
I was gonna say you're gonna have to go over to Hobbyworks and see what Miguel's got, right?
Yeah, well, I mean that's what keeps those guys in business is the people that they don't want the the plain Jane stuff on it. They want them to look different.
Right.
And that's what always fed the model car or the car industry, anyways. From the very get go was, people trying to make them look cool. It's an extension of you, an extension of your personality. And so in our hobby, that's just we do the same thing. And some people like the classic look, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's their personality, that's their style. So yeah. But that's what I think is great about the hobby, and that's what you want to do. You find people and you appreciate them for the craftsmanship. You appreciate them for the work that they put in and the passion they have for the hobby, and the camaraderie of going through the same thing. If you take somebody like Rats Live 125, he does these crazy paint jobs or whatever, and then you take somebody else that's doing a beige 1955 Chevy sedan or whatever, but they still have the same issues. You still have to worry about body prep, runs, clear coat issues or anything like that. And so even though their paint style could be 180 degrees different from one another, but you still have the same techniques, the same principles, the same issues come up. And so it's all part of that camaraderie.
Right. No, it's yeah. And then make a 1970 GTO Judge kit that has a rear wing. It's
They
little.
They got one that don't have one? Because I think the Judge doesn't it, or was it the 69 that has the rear wing and the 70 don't?
I don't know. Right.
I'm thinking of the 69. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if the 70 is that different or not. Johnny will tell us.
Right. Right.
Conversion kit. It's missing the wing. Huh. There you go. Talk to Miguel.
Right. So we've hit about that hour mark. Did you have anything else you wanted to show?
Not really. No,
Not really. Okay.
I don't think so.
So now we're at that part where you get to ask me questions.
Yeah, there was something I was wanting to talk about, and now it's completely left my brain though.
Right.
No, so what I mean, you do a little bit of everything. Is that just kind of a? I mean, what drives that?
So the short answer is I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Like, I don't even have jobs that do that. Like, where I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and over. There might be the same process, but each thing is different, right? And that's me in a nutshell. Like, I don't.
If you did nothing but figurines all the time, you'd eventually get bored, and then you wouldn't do anything.
But like, I try to do like the Predator, and then I've got a robot, and then I've got this giant 3D printed warlord, and then I've been doing female figures for a while, trying to learn how to do skin tone.
Skin tone. That's I am interested in doing some figures to go with my models. Just because you see some videos, guys have a little diorama or whatever, got 3 or 4 little people around, and I have a couple of the mechanic and tool shop kits that I bought, and they come with a couple of mechanics, and so people that do, I mean, you've seen it where, I mean, everybody knows the difference between a really good figure and one that's basic. I won't say it's bad, but it's a basic. You know what I mean? There's no shading or what I mean. All the skin is exactly the same color. There wasn't really any technique other than it's flesh on painted flesh colored, and then seeing those people that it looks like a little miniature human being. I mean, like it could just get up and run around, and you're like, oh my god,
right?
And those are the people that can do that. That I'm just like in absolute awe. I'm like that. That is, to me, is amazing, because that's, I mean, it's all art. Everything's artistry. Even the crap I do, but to me, how do I put it? It's like a lower form of art, what I do. You know what I mean? To be able to make something realistic, I think is, it's the difference between painting something and making something look real. I mean, is night and day difference. And when I see that, it's just like, wow. So when I do my mechanics, I don't expect them to look real, but I hope to be a little bit over what I would have done when I was 10. You know what I mean? Right. I want to be better than what I would have done if I would have done it when I was 10. So, right. And the only way you can do that is by watching people and then doing it. You got to do it. And even some of those guys I watch that have been doing it for years, they'll tell you, I just learned this technique, or I was just watching this guy, and you'd be like, man, you didn't have anything to learn. But, according to them, they do. But that's also the difference in your eyes, when you see somebody that's at that level, you just think, oh, that's all there is. But if you're somebody that's at that level, then there's always more. There's always,
Right. When it comes to figures, and I'm not saying anything bad about the Craft Acrylic paint. I've used it. It does work. You can get it to work. But it's a lot of work. Or if you spent just a little bit more money, you can get a little bit better quality paint, and it'll look 10 times better.
I've seen it with drawing. I watch some people that do drawing, what's cool about that's the nice thing about YouTube. You can learn anything on YouTube, but there's people that are professional artists,
Mm-hmm.
that and they put these videos where they'll do like a child's coloring book, and what's cool is sometimes they'll do cheap paint, cheap marker things too, and you'll see it and you'll be like, wow, that's amazing. They can do that with it. But then they'll also do the same photo with professional grade stuff, and you can just see the night and day difference between, a marker kit from Walmart and then one that's hundreds of dollars, because there is that. There's just it's the quality that you're going to get with something. There's a skill of the person, but sometimes you're limited by the materials. But it's what is that worth to you,
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at with my model kits. I don't have the expensive paints. I don't have an airbrush yet. I take that back. I have an airbrush. I've had an airbrush for 20 years. I don't have an airbrush compressor or a paint thing. I bought it when that shop went out of business. I got it for like half price or whatever. And so I was just like, well, eventually, and I get it now for half price, or I'll pay X amount, later down the line. So I bought it. I found it was at the bottom of all my kits. Never been open.
Yeah, I understand that. Like I want an airbrush 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. I've not used it one time.
Airbrush though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I have other Badger airbrushes, but I've never used, and it's one of their better ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you stick with what you know and what's working for you.
Right.
I will say, if you don't mind, some of my future plans for my channel is, you keep building, but I want to do some interviews. I'm hoping to do my father. Because he raced dirt track all around the state for 13 years while I was growing up. So I'm planning on doing some videos with him and let him share some stories. And then the guy I've been going and helping his son. Well, actually, we've been helping each other work on the cars. He actually was one of the mechanics on my dad's race car, and he's got a real nice collection of cars. He's actually one of the most knowledgeable people you want to meet about Fords. His dad ran a shop, and he lived at that ever since he was a little kid, pretty much. And he's the one. If you look on my banner, you'll see a Ford Cobra, and that's actually one of my oldest boy that still lives at home with me. He's in that picture, but that's that friend of mine's dad's Cobra. But he also has two Trinos, one of which is a super rare Richard Petty edition one. And so I already talked to him. He's agreed to do a video on that with me. But he's recently had knee surgery, and he's going to have another one. Plus, his cars are in storage for the winter, and so they're all kind of it's buried. And but once it gets nice and he can pull the cars out, I'm going to do an interview with them. But and his wife has a Mach 1, and then they have a 32 Coupe that was his first car he bought when he was 12 years old. And it's rough. It don't run or anything. It never has since I've seen it. But it's still a really cool car. And I'd like to have him talk about that because it's been chopped and channeled. And I think it's got like a Buick Nailhead engine or something. And I don't even know I can't remember if it's even in the car now. But it's just kind of, so that's one thing I want to do with my channel going forward too is some of these older men, have them tell, their automotive stories as well. Just post a video of those just every now and then, not real regularly, but from time to time.
Right. No, it's, and then you might get other people noticing your channel that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of crazy how YouTube does their algorithms. Where some things that you would think aren't going to get any attention at all blow up, and then other things that you're like, this video is going to do really, really well, and it doesn't do a damn thing.
Why did nobody watch that?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
right.
I'm pretty sure probably half of my subscribers are people that aren't necessarily into the model cars, but came across it and hit subscribe for whatever reason. Because seems like most of my videos are like 1 to 200 views, and so I'm like, well, that's half the people. But
did you have any other more questions for me?
no,
Because I mean, I always give you guys whatever you want to ask. I mean,
no, we talked for about half an hour before we started.
I know.
It's kind of bad for everybody else, but yeah, no. I think.
Right.
Do you have future plans for your channel?
I?
Yeah.
Well,
Any changes, or just more of the same, or you got anything, planned down the line?
I actually, believe it or not, I've been down this figure rabbit hole forever. I want to get back to building cars and trucks, and I don't know if you remember, like back in the 80s, they have the big Star Wars dioramas, like the Battle Hoth and
in models.
Yeah, the models.
No. My boys all my boys are into Star Wars stuff.
But it's like you can't really find them anymore. But they're like the model figure or the model diorama of like where Luke is with Yoda in the swamp. I have that, and like the Jabba's palace. So I've got a bunch of that stuff. I've got Star Trek. I've got, I can go in any direction I want right now. Like I just finished that small scale NASCAR kit. Now I want to do like a jet or a helicopter or something like that. And then I'm going to do the NASCAR build again. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. The dioramas are really cool. So Johnny was asking for, or was it Johnny? So if you type in model cars, put 2978 afterwards, and then that'll give you my channel. That's the bad thing about my channel name, is that if you just type in model cars, you won't find me. It's ridiculous, because I've had people that I know and they're like, dude, what's your channel? And like there's been times I can't find me and I know what to look for. And so then I saw that, if you look on your page, it says your name, and underneath there it says like, I don't know, like identity number or something like that. And I swore I had it as something else, but I looked and it just says model cars 2978. And actually what I did, a couple of people were doing giveaways or whatever, and they'd show their list of people that were on the giveaways. And I'd be like, who's this model cars 2978 guy? I was like, I see him all the time. I don't ever see me. And then I was like, I am 2978. So yeah, if you type that after model cars, I'll actually pop up. My channel will pop up.
And there should be a link in the description too. If there's not, I'll fix that after we go off the air. But yeah, it's, I try to do that on every episode, at least put a link to one of the videos in their channel. But
yeah, Scale Model Muse, the dioramas are their own rabbit hole. That's true. That's definitely true. And I feel that way about like movie TV cars. I see people and they're like, oh, I'm going to do the Dukes of Hazzard car. And then they're like, right after that, they'll be like, oh, now I'm going to do, kit or whatever. And I'm like, oh, careful. Because you don't realize how many movie TV cars there are until you watch somebody that's all they build. And there's like thousands. Because then you think, well, what's the next one? What's the next one?
See, here's the twist to that, though. There's I'm not going to plug his channel here, but he creates files for like the A-Team. Like if you have the A-Team van,
oh, so you do the Corvette,
and they'll fit. They're to scale. Like the Miami Vice, I think he has a bunch of them, but yeah, they're not.
Yeah,
I know where that's at, but
different raffles. That's why I stay with my scale too. I stay in 124, 125th scale. Everybody just do the small scale group build, and I've already got enough of an addictive personality that I see a kit and I want it, and I'm like, if I go another scales, and then that's just another stack. If I go 132 scale, well, now I got to have, what about that one on 132? What about that one? You know what I mean? And so it's a way for me to regulate my addiction.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about there? I have no idea.
Black Hot Rod Avatar. Unless he's talking about on my name. Yes. Yeah, if it's a little black. It's actually this car without decals. I think that's what he's talking about is my profile name. Oh, I made Vin Diesel fall over. But yeah, it's actually that car without the decals on it is my profile picture.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's the one so when I set up my channel and stuff, like the picture that I sent you, it wouldn't let me use that.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all pictures I took with my camera, same camera off my phone. And I had the hardest time finding one that YouTube would let me use for whatever reason. Just kept saying the size was wrong or whatever. I'm like, it's all the same camera taking this picture. So, like I said, I just got it going, and then once everything was going, it was working. I just left it alone. I don't like messing with technology, so it's working for the moment. So I left it alone.
I understand. There's times that things go really, really well, and there's other times you just want to like punch something.
Oh man, so bad. Just want to throw things through screens. Yep, I know exactly what you mean. That's what the thing about technology. Like I said, it's great when it does what it's supposed to, but when it don't, it's just absolutely infuriating.
Right. All right, man. Well, you don't have any more questions for me. I mean, we've been an hour and 20 minutes.
And I think we should let these people get on with their lives. I appreciate everybody stopping in and listening to my BS and taking the time out of your days. So hopefully all your bills are going well.
Right.
And Josh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for making this work. I know we've had to talk quite a bit this week because of emails, but we got it to work. So,
well, and originally, this was, we had this scheduled since January, and then at work they're like, "Hey, we need to come in on the 25th," and I was like, "I can't." and everybody else can't. Everybody else couldn't either, and so actually, one of the supervisors had to step in, and I was like, "No, I've had this on the schedule for 3 months." I'm like, "I ain't doing it." So they're like, they're not used to me saying no. Usually, I'm like, "Sure."
That's all right. Cool. Now at least I understand. But that's cool. But yeah, thank you for coming on. I'm and we'll talk a little bit more once we get off of here. But yeah, thank you for coming on, and I will talk to you in a little bit. All right. Oh. All right, everybody. So that was Daniel from Model Cars. Hopefully you guys learned something like I did this week. And I will see you guys next week. Next week, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Right now, I'm in the works. I might have to get Hobby Barn on here. There was a cancellation. I haven't been able to get it to work, so I'm trying to find a replacement as of right now. So we'll see what happens next week. See you guys later. Bye.